I'm going to try to debug a problem that I'm having there, saving. So for some reason it's not collapsing the folders, and I think I might have an idea of what could be wrong, but I'm not really sure. And there's another problem that's the path there. It's something to do with the path, the root path. And I have no idea how I'm going to solve this, but I'm going to try to solve in the next 2 hours or less. Just gonna wait, just see if it's really. So basically, when you save to the user path, it goes into the app data path. There's gonna be on the app data on Godot, and it's going to be the name of the application or game, and then whatever file name you put. So the user path is the whole path here, and then you put the path of the file or the relative path to the roots of your project. I created a function. I spent some time looking into how they do it and the moments that they call scan. But because it's different, the way that they do it and the way that I'm doing, there's a problem if I scan on some places because of the threads. So it's kind of annoying. And the other part that is kind of problematic is I think that those are probably the roots of the issue is that like so first you have to scan the directory, and because the scan function uses a thread, you can't count, like it's not synchronous. So it's gonna start the thread and then it's gonna start calling the scan new directory. But as it does that, it's gonna continue the execution on the other thread. So the problem is that you have to scan the directory before, and then update the tree because then the tree is gonna reflect the new directory. So what I'm doing here, what I was doing in the beginning is to put this on the constructor of the class, but I was getting a warning that I think that's because these functions here I also got from the way that Godot does it. I just changed slightly, so I mainly changed the path. On Godot, they send the path and the section through the function because they save from the editor nodes using the editor doc manager. Because they have one config file for all the configuration, which I think makes sense. But the way that I'm doing now is just I'm gonna save the config. It's gonna be encapsulated only on the file system doc. At least the way that I'm thinking right now, it might change in the future. So this is a path here. Basically, the user path is gonna be this path here, and then the name of the file, which is this one. And I just copied the way that they do it, the sections. So you can put anything you want, I think. Like you can put any string and putting this name here. It's just to separate the key value pairs that are going to be in certain places. So the way that I'm doing there is on the post initialize. So I try on the enter tree as well, but I decided to leave here because that's what the warning message suggested to do. I'm not really sure at what moment in the cycle is gonna run this, but I think it's before the enter tree. This one I got from basically the way they do it, but they have another function, and then inside of the function they call this scan, but I'm not gonna use the stuff that they have on the other function, so I decided to just put here. But it seems that it's not running this anyway, so I'm probably gonna remove this. And they also use this flag variable to start a scan on the process as well. But this is the part that is kind of problematic, I think. So they set a flag on the enter tree, and then they call the scan based on the flag on the process, and then they call one time, and so they do it through other functions, and they just went over the functions, and then I try to find these parts that are related to FileSystemDock or file system. And then the other part that is kind of difficult to figure out is where to put the save config, because so the way that I'm doing now is at each function that changes something on the configuration, so the remove folder, the add folder, stuff like that, I'm putting the save config call. But I haven't tested those parts yet, and then I'm putting here on the process for now, just to make sure that it's gonna save the configuration. But on the editor, they do it through this thing here, this notification, which now I'm using as well, which is the notification that runs after you close the window. So every time that the app or game or whatever closes, it's gonna run this function here for the nodes. So this makes sure that you save the configuration each time. And here on the initialization, I'm calling load config to check to see if the configuration is set or not. Just basically using this, so I get the path there, the configuration from the path. Then I check to see if there's a file system. If there isn't, then there's something went wrong. This is kind of unnecessary, but I think it's like just an additional check, so it doesn't matter that much. And yeah, if it doesn't have the file, it means that it's the first time that it's opening the configuration. But then I check here as well, because there might be a situation where like you have a path. This part I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna do it, but obviously like I might have to change this actually. Now that I think about it, because the challenge is I'm probably gonna have to look into the way VS Code does it to try to see if I can do it the same way. Because the problem is, let's say you open a path, like the path I have here. If I open another window, then the other window has to start from the beginning. But the way that I'm doing here now is I'm just checking to see if there's a root path. And I'm saving the root path here based on the current root there. So this is basically going to get the previous root path that was selected if there is a configuration already, and then I'm calling this function to set that path on the file system. So if it doesn't exist, it's going to be empty, and then it calls fail. It returns, it makes equal fail and returns. So basically this condition here is going to happen whenever it failed to load the configuration. So I'm just gonna hide the tree, the split box, and then I create a button there to open a folder. And then I'm connecting on the file dialog this function here, which is gonna happen after you select the folder. And this function is gonna update the current path and scan, call the file scan. Then after it calls the file scan, it's gonna call the update tree by proxy, because it triggers the fs change function because it emits this signal here. So this function calls the file system. But the problem is this function calls the update tree, and the update tree is the function that is gonna to create the actual tree on the file system. So the problem is on the update tree and the uncollapsed paths, I think. Before I had to change the uncollapsed paths, because I realized that I'm not creating a favorite and they create, so they are getting the next nodes next node from the first child, and the first child is this one. But because I'm not creating this one, I had to change there. But I'm still not 100% sure if this is the way to do it. Basically this here. So this, because before it wasn't getting any subtree when I was using this one, and it is, I'm pretty sure it is because I don't have the favorites there. So my first child is already the root, but I think this is a part of the issue. And the issue that I'm getting now, I'm getting a warning. So there's two issues. One is I'm getting a warning that it can't change to an empty directory. And I already figured out that it comes from one of the functions here on the file system. But I'm not really I haven't figured out yet at what moment it's calling this function that is giving the warning. And I think this is related to the other problem, which is is not saving the uncollapsed folder. So the way that which I realize now that it makes more sense the way that they did it, and the way that I was thinking about doing is not. It doesn't make a lot of sense because it makes more sense to leave the functionality related to the collapse and uncollapsed folders into the part that is going to display the folders. The file system class should be only the functionality behind. So that's basically how they are doing. So I'm not really sure. I think that so the biggest difference in the way that they are doing, the way that I'm doing, is that they are going to put the RAS path here because they are only selecting one path, which is the root of the project. But for mine, it has to be dependent on the file system because obviously I want to make it dependent. I want to, like, if, for example, if you open a folder here, then it should update the root. So in this, I'm saving this, trying to save the state on this thing here, the roots. And then I have to synchronize the root of the file system with the cache. And the part that I said I'm not really sure about is the like how to make sure I have to create a key that is unique for each folder. The question is how do you know what happens when you open two different files? Because it has to start with an empty ID, and it only has to start with the previous one if it is the first window, I think. But I'm gonna test this later. I think first I have to figure out what is going on here. So I think what is happening is that on the uncollapsed functionality there, they're gonna get from the metadata. And they set the metadata on the folders based on the L path, which is the path that they get using the subdirectory. And this path is supposed to be from the name. So, and this is the part that I think, because like when I get there, it seems that it's getting an empty, even when I select the node. I'm gonna do this now. I'm going to go over with this thing here to select there and see what happens. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna call the tree select item or something like that, the function. And it's on the root of the project is like, it's weird because on the actual folder it says that is the RAS path, which is the folder that's selected. But on the display there it just says through an empty path. And the display I think is happening I think it's set something. No, it's on the someone will. I think what happens above the filter where it shows the path of the files. I think it is determined by this thing here. Yeah, so on the beginning I think it makes sense because it's setting to the current path and the current path doesn't exist yet. So this is something I have to see. Current path. Yeah, so I think what I should do is just try to set there after, or when I load the configuration, I should be on the one that doesn't. Is loads. Is load config different than okay. So this one is, so it should be here. I think I should set here. So probably if I set here again, I'm gonna try this before I compile, before I debug. So I think what is happening is on the beginning it doesn't display anything because it happens before it loads. So when it doesn't have a configuration, then it doesn't matter what path shows there because it's just gonna show the button. So, but when it has a configuration, which is this option here, is it this option? Oh yeah. So when it's different than okay, it means that it didn't load successfully. So on this, whenever it's gonna hit here, maybe I should. I'm gonna put here because it doesn't matter anyway. Because the current path is gonna be set, I think, here. I do remember some points. Maybe it's on the save that but it should be on the. I think when I get the. So when I get the root from the configuration, so this is checking to see if the root of the project exists on the configuration file, which is the file that's gonna cache the state. Then I'm setting the current path to that root. And if the path is empty, then it means that I initialize the thing once, but I didn't set any path, so it didn't click on the open folder. Because the default path on the BM file system is going to be an empty path. So this is when there is a configuration file, but there isn't a configuration yet. So if this doesn't happen, then I set the file system, set the current root on the file system to this. And before I was trying to scan here as well, which I'm not really sure if I should do or not. But now I'm just updating the value of this. And this is the one that is going to be used on the create tree. So so this thing here should represent the path there. So after I call this, it should update the thing. So I'm gonna. But this is only one of the problems, I think. Select something. I think it's 3 multi-select. Probably this one. So I think this function is the one that runs after you select an item. And when I select the root, it's not displaying anything on the current one there. So I think what is happening is that when I'm creating the tree, it doesn't put any path on the root folder. And I don't understand why. So it should be putting based on the get path from the directory, and this is set on whenever you scan, the file system is gonna set this at some point. So I think that this is the problem. I'm not really sure. And maybe the easiest way to fix is to try to set again, but then like there's the warning with the threads. And I think I was setting directly there as well. So the thing is, if the name on this was set, then the path should be equal to the name because of the way that the function works there. Oh, but maybe that's the problem. I should do this after. No, because yeah, the first name. But I think I also try to put to make the L path equals to the name on this situation here. Maybe there's something I should try again. Should comment this out. Because I tried at some point doing this as well, but it didn't work. So the question would be, in what situation will the name be empty? That's what I tried. That's what I have to figure out. So I think one of the things that I can try is to check to see if there's an empty. If it is an empty path, then I just return. And if it isn't, I just do the stuff that I was doing here again. Just set the name to the current, and then just call scan new directory right away. Because the scan new directory function is the one that is going to. I think that is not the scan new directory, is the scan file system. Like this one, it sets the name on the subdirectories, but I would be setting the name here on the current one. And the scan is the function that is gonna set up the threads, and then it's gonna call scan file system inside. And this is the one that creates the new file system, and then it puts there. So this is basically the thing that I put here to stop the warning, because this is where it's coming from. I was calling this function whenever, no, but I think I'm still getting the warning. So I put the condition on different functions, because the warning is coming when it's trying to change the directory to an empty string. And that should only happen if I'm calling these functions without having any path there, which shouldn't happen, because if I don't have the path, it should just load the button. It's kind of like, it's annoying because the whole thing feels like it doesn't feel that it's correct the way that this is working. That's the problem. But I think like it's not obvious what is the best way to solve this. Because the problem is synchronizing the scanning with the update tree on the other class. Yeah, internal error cannot change further. So the warning is still showing up. So I think I put the warning at some other place. Oh, yeah, the place was here and was directly on the. So it's because of this directory here. So. And it's because of the get path. But the question is, why would this be like it has to be because it's calling a scan from a thread, then it's gonna call the other function scan file system, and then it's going to call the scan new directory, which is this one. But at that point, it should have already this directory should have the name. That's the thing that it doesn't make sense. Because when I'm passing here, I'm setting the name here. And there isn't any other place, I think, where I don't set the name. As far as I remember. Yeah. So this is the question, like, how is it possible? Unless, I don't remember if I checked, but yeah, doesn't have anything here. I guess I can put the condition there and just go over with the debugger. That's what I'm gonna do. But here I wanted to see if it's still gonna be empty when I select. Yeah, so when I select here, it doesn't show anything here. And it should show the root, I think. But maybe not. Maybe that's how it's supposed to work. No, but I'm pretty sure that's here. Yeah, it does show the root. So I have to see what is going on here. So I'm gonna go over with the, I'm gonna compile and go over with the debugger. Just see here. And I think it's probably happening because it has to be both because of it has to be something to do with the path here. But there's something weird going on with the path. Because it's what's probably happening is that it's setting this on the roots to be an empty path. And then later on when I select it's gonna be empty. Or something like this. So it's gonna go. And this is the second thing. I think that the reason why it's not saving the collapse folders is because of the first path there. But there is also very strange. But maybe I think that that one it might be more understandable because if it doesn't save the roots, then the collapse state on the root, then it means that even if it saves the other ones, which I'm pretty sure that this is what's happening because I checked the file there to see. I checked a couple. I checked, then I made some changes, then I checked again, and then like it might have fucked it up. But at some point, I know that it is saving some of the some of the uncollapsed paths. It saves on the config file, but then it doesn't display, and I think it doesn't display because the root is always saved as collapsed because of this difference in names. That's the problem. I think I have to press F5 a bunch of times. Just get to the point where I'm on the editor. Here is how it's gonna like from the when it's loading the config, which is basically the same thing that I'm doing there. The only place that I'm doing different is on here, which might be some of the problem. Might be the problem as well. Yeah, actually, maybe this is the problem because, but at this point, it should set there on the one that I have. So basically, the way that it works here is they get the unclassed maps, which they save on these formats on this variable here, and then they loop over. They use the tree to get the metadata from the unclassed path. Actually, this might be the issue because the moment I'm loading the configuration, I don't have the tree. I think that's the problem. Hmm. And also the path is not going to be the same. No, I think the path it is the same because I sat there before. So I sat the path here. So the moment that it loads, it should be the root already. So I think this path is the same. Hmm. And this is the issue. I don't like this very much. Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It seems that there's so much space for mistakes. Like, perhaps you keep track of the synchronization of the gets. Oh, get unclosed paths and the update tree and the file system. Yeah, so this is for sure a problem, I think. Because this is the issue is, so maybe I should, the issue with setting or scanning on the function there is that like it's gonna be very confusing to understand, like for someone that doesn't know. If I sat here, the thing, I guess I can call from outside here. So I can just scan, but then the problem is when I can't, I guess I can change the scan file system function to be public instead of private, but I don't think that's very good. Or I can call here directly after a set instead of the function, which is not very good as well, I think. So the issue here, one of the issues I think is one of the issues is that the file system state is not updated when it is on this point here. And also like the tree doesn't exist. So there's two problems. One is that like I need to scan the file system right away to make sure it runs before this runs. And then I need to call update tree right away to create the tree. So the file system is going to create the structure of the directory. Then the update tree is going to get the root of the file system and it's going to use that to build the visualization. But it doesn't seem right to do this here. This is the problem. So the question, and I think I'm not really sure if this is all the problem as well. I think it's one of the problems, but yeah, there's definitely more. Because the issue here is going to be that it's not going to find the nodes. So even though it might be on the cache there, the config, it's just going to skip, it's not going to collapse. But this is not related to the selection not showing the file. So one obvious solution would be to make the other variable as a member variable of the class. And then I can use that to update the tree later. So I scan the thing and then make sure that after I scan, I update. I want to, I think doing synchronously is better because it just stops this annoying thing about not being sure. Because like the problem with the thread is that I think it is kind of undeterministic because it would never know when the thread is going to finish the work. Like you know that at the point that the process on the file system is running, then it's going to finish because it's going to call wait to finish on the process. But from the other class point of view, it's not It makes it a lot harder to, a lot more annoying to call the other function. So I think that the thread is fine after the initial setup, because then it's like more like it doesn't matter anymore. Because like I have to make sure that the first state the file system exists, and then it's gonna build the tree correctly based on the file system. And this the other problem is that like it doesn't. Like, I have to figure out another way, I think, to save. Maybe this is the best way to make it as a member variable of the class, because like you have to load the configuration before you update the file system. Like you call this scan. So maybe running right away there, and then I just comment out the other parts. I think that's what I'm gonna write down here. So I'm gonna go back to. The thing is, it's not very good. That's the problem. The problem is that it's gonna be confusing to figure out later. Because someone that is reading the code is not gonna be obvious that inside of the function, just set the current path is gonna have the other stuff. That's the part that is very annoying. In order to call the other ones directly, I need to change. I need to make them public. It's probably not very good. I should just call there and see what happens. So when I'm setting this, I should call the scan file system. I'm pretty sure. So I have to set the. Because this is another warning that I was getting, but I think this class is scanning. You can just make scanning equals true. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I make scanning equals true. I think that's gonna make the warning go away. And then I scan right away. And then I should probably call update tree before. But the thing is, it feels very wrong to do this on the configuration. The purpose of this is just to load the configuration. It doesn't seem that I should be doing this here. But the other solution doesn't feel very good as well. Like, would be to make this as a member variable of the class, and then outside I just check to see if it exists. I basically would call the same stuff here, but then I call outside of the function. And maybe I should do that. It's better. So I call load config, then I update the value of this, and I check to see if this is empty or not. So on the other one, I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this now, and then I'm gonna think about this later. The problem is that this is not gonna solve the thing as well. But the other thing to do is to comment out the. I have to see the places that is scanning. But I think the other ones, they are going to check to see if it is scanning or not. I hear already commented out. Scan changes, I think it checks to see if it's scanning. So I think that's probably fine, the way that I'm doing here. And here's gonna check to see if it's scanning as well. Yeah. So let me think about this. I still think that this is not gonna. So I'm gonna change on this one, but if I change, it's gonna mess up. So basically, what I'm thinking about doing is putting here. So I'm gonna put an else condition. I'm gonna remove the scanning, and then I'm gonna do this now. So instead of here, no, actually would no, yeah. So inside of here, I would put the stuff that I'm doing on the load config now. So make the variable part of the member class, and then just loop over the uncollapse. Check to see if it's empty or not. Then loop over the thing, and then call update tree. Or call update tree before, and then loop over. Should get the items. But this is the problem, because that's the thing that doesn't make sense. Yeah, but I think as long as the path, because to call update tree, you need to pass the uncollapsed paths. So it is kind of weird, but I think it might make sense, because you're just calling update tree to get the initial state of the tree. And then you're just gonna check to see whether or not it exists. It's gonna check to see whether or not the item exists with that path. I think. It's gonna check yeah. Check to see if the item with the path exists. I think that the uncollapsed paths that it saves is based is the strings already. It is the path already. So the get item with the metadata is gonna return the item that is related to equivalent to that path. I think it makes sense. So you build the tree first with everything collapsed, and then you uncollapse here. So I'm gonna go really fast here first before I do this, because I want to see what happens when I select the root there. Oh, the problem is I have to go over the game. So maybe I'll do. Hmm. I'm gonna do this now, because like the only way to see is if I debug the game directly. is updates. So this is gonna check the path. The question that I'm debating whether or not is to put the condition here, where they're collapsed, or if it's better to just update the tree either way. I think it's probably better to just call update tree either way. But it's so maybe I'll remove from here because it doesn't matter. Because on the situation where it doesn't have a configuration, like it's gonna show the button anyway, so it doesn't matter which call. So I'm gonna comment this one out. So this makes sure that I first update the tree, then I check. And then I set the current path. So I'm gonna try this. And then here is gonna hopefully update it's gonna scan the file system right away whenever there is a configuration already. So it's basically getting the root of the project root folder and then is scanning based on because the scan is gonna be based on this root there, which is updated here. Also it creates a new one, then it updates the name here. And then on the process is gonna switch the pointer. So it's gonna make the file system one be equal to this file system dir be equal to the new file system dir. It's gonna make the file system point to this one, and then it's gonna delete this one. And then on the other class it's gonna use the file system dir, and not this one. So, but it's basically gonna be the same. So first I'm gonna open from the executable right away, just see if there is any warnings or something. Then after that I'm gonna debug the game version, just see what happens when I select there. I just realized that maybe I was, because yeah, but I debugged so many times that I don't remember anymore. But I think sometimes I was using the file system dock without realizing to check the selection there, or maybe not. Don't remember anymore. Yeah, so this is I think this was the warning that I was getting before when I was setting. So this runs when, yeah, that's the problem because it's gonna call here. Actually, doesn't make sense to make. Although it's saying that it is false. How does this work? Also, I guess it checks like it needs to have. Also, because I'm making equal to true, it fucks up. But if I don't put here, it's gonna complain as well, I think. But maybe not. Because I do remember I was getting a warning when I wasn't setting. And I think it was because of the other threads. Like probably as it was doing this, it was running the other scan function from somewhere else and then it complains. I think. So I'm gonna test again. And now it's not showing anything there. I think it's gonna crash because it's gonna be stuck on a loop. It's still showing the same thing. Also because, as I said before already, I don't think it's very good to call here anyway. Like if I call the scan you there directly, then it's probably not gonna throw it. Maybe I should try to do that again, but there's must be another way I think to do this. Because I want to avoid putting this function, making these functions public to call from outside as well. And obviously I can create another function to just call this one as a wrapper, but I think there must be probably another way to do this. The problem with doing this here is that I'm using the one that is initialized on the constructor. So I'm not really sure what is gonna happen when I think that it doesn't matter because it's gonna delete this anyway. Like if you calls the scan from another place, it's gonna call scan file and then it's gonna allocate memory for the new file system there. Then it's gonna update that file system and then the process is gonna switch pointers, but before I switch pointers, it's gonna delete this one. I think. So it doesn't matter if I use this one. So I'm gonna try this. Now it's basically gonna be here, so after the thread starts, and it's not scanning. If he has that one, it's gonna delete, then it's gonna point to the new one. Yeah, now at least it's not showing the error, but it's not displaying anything there. So why is this happening? It still has a problem here. I'm gonna go over the game. So I'll be right back. So I think the reason why it's not showing anything there is because it's running the update tree before it scans somehow. But doesn't make a lot of sense because it's running the function first there. So I should probably I'm gonna run this again probably. So but this I think this time already went over this. So how is it possible that it's running the update tree? Because here you should be running the function there. I should be running this function. And this function, or either that. But this one is the one that is gonna use there. So maybe what is happening is that it's going over the process and then it's deleting this one and it's not updating the other one. So maybe I should do new file system here. I should see how they do the scan file system. Just copy how they do the file system. So I'm gonna run this again. I think what is happening before is that since I'm creating directly. Then when it gets to the process, it deletes the one that I created, and it's gonna make it equal to the other one that doesn't have anything. But I'm not really sure if that's the case. Because the problem, yeah, this is why it feels very weird. But I'm not really sure like what solution to implement to this. Because if I change the one, I'm not sure if I should use the threads or not. That's the thing. I think that's probably good to leave the thread there, but I'll figure out a way to get around. Because I assume that if they are using thread, if they use the threads, then there's probably a reason, and I think the reason is that the class is going to be used a lot, or it's supposed to be. They're going to be scanning, or calling the scan changes each process thing. So I assume that the thread is useful because of that. Like it runs the thing a lot, and the purpose is to be able to use the other threads for other classes, as this is checking for the whether or not the something changed on the directory. So I think it makes sense to use threads. But it is kind of annoying because of the synchronization issue. And it feels kind of dumb to use, like call the function for the trans and then call wait for finish or which finish, whatever the function is, outside, because then what's the point? Should be calling the thing synchronously. I think it only makes this scanning true. No, yeah. I was gonna say on the scan file system. So it only makes this true on the scan. So if I don't call this anymore, I think I am calling whenever there is a change there. Hmm. I think it's only gonna make it through here. So it's only gonna hit this when the thing is true. But then that's weird because then, like, what was the point of the warning on the previous one? Like, the way that I'm doing now is not gonna work because it's not gonna trade there. Maybe now I can set the scanning to true there. And then it's gonna switch, but then what's no, because the try is not started. So why was the other one giving me a warning? Oh, it's probably because I didn't have the new file system. That's why. Probably because no, but yeah, this doesn't make sense. So I think it triggers whenever it's true. So you can't have the file system to call. I should probably do the way that I was doing again and then step over, just see where the error is. But I think if I step over the game, it's not gonna show me. Let me do this again. Let's see what happens. So I'm gonna try to step over the game directly and see if I can figure out and put like the breakpoint here. Also, this is kind of scanning. So, yeah, how does that work? Oh yeah. So, but why was it showing the error the first time though? When I was making this equal to true. It's basically the same thing. Like set scanning first, then you call this function. So the only explanation is from the other function. But it has to be something outside, I think. Because the scanning is supposed to work with the thread, I think. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So if this shows the message, I'm going to choose search now. Ah, it should be here. It might be because of this. The last time that I went over, it wasn't. So I'm gonna delete this just to see if it's gonna. Alright, yeah, could be here as well. So I'm gonna comment this one out. I should comment all of them out. And the problem with the way that I'm doing there is that the thread's not on, so it's not gonna switch anyway. I think calling the scanning directory makes more sense. Because I only need to update the state, and then that's what is gonna matter for the other one. The other parts don't matter to me. But I wanna understand why is this showing this error now. It doesn't make sense. It's probably because of the other. So I'm gonna compile again, see. Before I step over, I'm gonna compile, just see if it is because of the other scan calls that I had there. When I set it true, it's also getting stuck there. So probably another part requires should be false. Yeah, so now there's no warning. So it was because it was running the other scan. So probably after he runs the function there, it's gonna saturate the scanning to false, and then when he runs the other scan, it shows the warning. So I think you understand now as well. So I'm gonna remove. And let's see what happens with this one. And this one is supposed to set the. So it updates the state of the root one, and then this one's gonna be used on the update tree, and it should show the directory. I should return if it isn't. Yeah, it's whatever. So it's not showing anything. I guess I'm gonna go over with the debugger now, just see what is happening. I forgot to delete this. Yeah. I don't know why put the condition there. It's weird. Because it's either gonna be the root or it's gonna be the values. So it's never gonna be empty. That's kind of weird. So maybe I should just remove this. Well, I think it's better to just leave here just in case. It's better to be safe, I think. It doesn't matter that much. Let me see if I understand as well. The mental model that I have now on my mind is that the load config is gonna run the function. So it's not gonna run the scanning if it doesn't have a configuration, but then it doesn't matter because it's supposed to display the button. So it doesn't matter if it has a configuration or not. And inside of the function, the callback function, after you select the folder, is going to scan the directory again. So it sets the state on the file system for the first time, and then it runs this, and then the one that is going to get here is the one that has the state there. That's how I'm thinking about now. So the first tree that it creates, it just initializes everything. Then from the state that it had here, which is basically the initial the folder that is on the configuration. So it sets up the directory classes with the based on the folder that exists on the configuration. Then it's going to get the ones that are not collapsed based on the configuration as well. And it's either only going to be the root or it's going to be whatever was saved last time. So the weird thing is why it's not showing. So the reason why is that it must be updating the tree before it uh, runs this, I think. Either that or the stuff about changing. Yeah, but I think it's probably easier now to just I'm gonna open one more time from here and then I'm gonna go over with the debugger. Hmm. So this function that should probably put the check as well. I think that this one makes sense. Should be so I should probably put a condition here. It makes sense for here to be for the path should be empty on some situations because this is gonna run anyway. Because I'm just copying the way that they did there on the editor where they put on the process the function that is gonna set up the threads that is gonna call this that is gonna call this function from inside of the thread based on the other function. So it's gonna run this every process, I think, from the file system doc. So that means that if it doesn't have a configuration, it's gonna have an empty directory. which means the path is gonna be empty, I think. Hmm. This is the thing that it is like I tried to do this to make it equal the name here in the beginning because I thought that this might be the issue, but it didn't work. But I think it has to be this function here because if it has a name, like what is happening is that what I think yeah, so I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. Like what I was thinking that is happening is that it has the name here in the beginning, and then like on the root folder, yeah, but the root folder doesn't have a parent. That's the problem. Hmm. But then the question is why doesn't it, so maybe if I do p equals the name, and then I do it like this. I'm gonna test like this. Because I think that this is the issue of the other one as well. Like you're supposed to get the, but I think that this is the thing that I'm not like. It doesn't matter. I think for the thing that I'm doing there, but I think that they designed this way where because on their version they put the path here, so it's supposed to get only the part that doesn't have the roots. Yeah, let me try this. And I think that this is related to the other problem because even though like when the name is empty it's gonna work, but the thing is the name is not gonna be empty anyway as well. So I can test to see if I comment out the parts if it's still gonna work. But it's not working because it doesn't get the path that it's supposed to get. Hmm. I'm gonna think about this. It's on the creator. So like it shouldn't be hitting this anyway, I think. The way that I have now, because the name is always gonna be from the root. The thing is about the path. But I think like if the problem was this, then it wouldn't work before because I already tried to make the path equal to the name. Yeah, but that's so because it's never hitting this because it always has the name, but it doesn't get the correct path based on the name, it messes up there. Yeah, so I think that's probably not sure if it's gonna solve both, but I think it will solve the one that the problem that it doesn't show, but I'm not really sure if it's gonna solve the selection. I think the selection is the same problem with the not caching or not getting the uncollapsed state correctly. Hmm. Cannot navigate your routes. This comes from the change directory as well. Hmm. There's probably a situation where I'm using access file system. I changed this from the way that it was before because I want to use absolute paths. So you should probably change here to use the same pattern as the other ones. Just create path from the path. Create from this. CD path. I think it's create for path. Yeah, so now it solved the selection. So let's see the states. Hmm. At least now is uncollapsed on the root, but it's still not the correct one. So the way that the collapse and non-collapse works is based on the tree class, or I think it is sets on the tree class on the GUI input event or GUI something. On one of the events on the tree class is going to implement the functionality where it collapse or uncollapses, and it just calls the functions on the tree item. Just calls the set collapsed. So the functionality is implemented through the tree, and then it should cache based on that thing that I was just seeing there. And it is supposed to cache the state after it doesn't change on the editor, but if you run the other time, then it's supposed to change. So I think it's not. So there's a problem here. Not navigate, not found. Okay, navigate to path. So it's the same thing. So same problem as the other ones. So this the difference between the creating like this and the other one is that this one is just gonna check to see if it's a special path or not, and then it's gonna create the thing based on the path. So let me think. So let me see the. So maybe I should. Maybe it was the this error that was making it break, but it could be. It's gonna say based on this, so it's based on the function, and the function is based on the tree. So it could be because of this thing here. So I think that the easiest way to figure out is just to compile, then open, then go over with the debugger and just put the breakpoint there. I think it doesn't matter that much. I'm gonna look into the. So I was already planning to look into the VS Code source code to see how they create the logic to select the default path that they open on the open folder, because I was looking for like how do people usually decide how to show which path to show as the starting point, because they don't want to show the RAS path. Like, not that it matters that much. I don't think it matters because like, and I was thinking about this as well when it comes to like security for using this user path, but like I think that these security problems only matter on whenever you're creating something that you're gonna receive code from outside of the executable you have. So like the only problem is if someone can put a dangerous string, inject code to retrieve the source, but the thing is like you're able to reverse engineer anyway. So like from that standpoint, I don't think it matters that much. It becomes dangerous when someone can inject code on their computer to hijack to gain kernel access and then uh, like get data from the computer. But like if you're using the executable on your own computer, then if you inject the code to get kernel access, like it's pointless. So the only danger is being able to retrieve the source code, making it easier to retrieve the source code based on the path. So obviously it should be because of this thing here. Element. So when it's saving through this. So if it is setting the collapse, then it should be. The problem is definitely here, I think. Either it is or the error there was fucking up somehow. But I think that's probably because of this thing here. I think the reason why it wasn't getting, even though when I when I added the favorite, then it started working. But I think that's it was just because it wasn't getting the first place, not because it didn't have the favorites, but because there was a mismatch between the two classes. Because it was creating the thing, but it's still kind of weird because you should get the the item anyway because it exists on the tree. So I'm not sure how, like, maybe it is weird because I think that the reason why they get the next here and not the first child is because it should skip the favorites, and that's why they were doing like this. Because we want to see the uncollapse from the root of the project. Probably not gonna work, so I'm just gonna step over, see what is going on. Yeah, so step over. I'm gonna make sure that I put. So when you close the application, you should call the save function, which should call the. Oh, it's actually this one. Should call this function, which should get the current state of the uncollapsed. I'm pretty sure that the selection is working now. I don't remember if I tested, but I think I did. So I'm not really sure if it still has something to do with this. Because now it should be getting the path. So it already calls, but I think it doesn't matter that much. It's probably oh, the problem should be on the save, I think, because it doesn't have anything here. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter that much. The first calls are, but it does look like it is getting the roots. So this is the thing. Whatever. So it is the roots. Or here's doing breadth first search. Oh, it's because of the path, I think. This is the issue. Oh, but it should be saving anyway, I think. I think this. Because I think that there is a mismatch between the way that the file system is creating the path now and the way that the create tree is gonna put the paths on the tree items. But I'm not really sure about this. But I think either way you should save there on the file the uncollapsed paths. Or maybe it's because I no, yeah, it should work. So what is going on? Doesn't make sense. I suppose you have your. Oh, now it has the paths. Hmm. So it might be because of the mismatch there. I think the issue is that there is a mismatch. It's just better to put the get collapse as well, but because it should uncollapse here anyway. Actually, I could put this one. This part doesn't feel, it doesn't seem correct to do this. I wonder if there's a, yeah, I should just call the function with this variable, I think. So call update tree with this makes more sense. Because this one already has the uncollapsed paths. Since this is already gonna have the unclass paths, I can just call the update tree function with the paths. The thing is, like, it could be calling this again at some point, and then it's gonna mess up. So I think I should, instead of the update tree, I put the condition here. So I think that the way that it works on the create tree is going to be based on the file system. And I think that there's this other part that might be messing up, which is the differencing paths. So the way that the file system there creates the paths might be different than the way that I'm creating since I changed the function there. And this might be a problem. So like here, the L path is not going to be on the collapse because they are different. It saves in a different way. So I'm just going to check there. The path is going to be based on the function, so it is the same. They're going to use the same function. Essentially, none of them have a path until you call the function because it's based on the name. Hmm. So I think it has to be something else. So I was thinking about doing is I just put here. Also don't see the point in putting this because this is always makes more sense to always make it uncollapsed, the root. I'm gonna comment this out for now. I think later I'm gonna start with this as uncollapsed as this as the with the root. As essentially I don't need the other argument as well, I think. Because it makes more sense to make it based on the cache. As far as I can think right now, maybe I'm wrong. I think like the first time it makes more sense to start everything with the root open, and then all the times after that it's gonna be based on the previous time, which is just the cache. So it should be based on the variable. Yeah, let me leave. So I'm gonna try it like this. Because the problem is if I don't make it like this, then like every time that is I'm gonna have to. I don't know, something seems off, I think. But I can't think about a very good solution yet. Or maybe this solution is the best for now, if it works. I could make based on the variable and then I just remove the other. I'm definitely gonna remove the uncollapsed roots. I think it makes sense for the root should always be uncollapsed. The other thing that I was thinking about doing is to remove the roots, but I think I'm gonna do that after, because it is more annoying to think about how to do it. I talked about this last time as well, that I can initialize the roots on the update tree, then loop over the root and call create tree from that point for the folders. But then there might be an issue with the first thing there. But I think that maybe not. So you should probably try to do this as well. So I just loop over the directories and then I call for each one. I check to see if it is on. I have to see if it is possible to check. Oh, but I think that the function already checks when. I would basically do the same thing that they are doing here, so just do the same loop, but then on the outside, on the update tree, initialize the roots on the update tree, then I call the create tree uh, from that point, from the root. Actually, I wouldn't initialize. Yeah, that's the problem because I wouldn't want to initialize I wouldn't want the root to be part of the tree. That's the issue. But maybe it doesn't matter. I think. Like, I think from the 3 points of view, it doesn't matter if there's multiple different. The biggest problem is that you wouldn't have the top node, let's say, that connects all of them. I'm not really sure. I would have the roots only, and they already have the roots, so maybe it doesn't matter. I think I can just call from the roots. Then I'm gonna have to change the way that I'm doing the. But maybe the only place that I need to change is on the on collapse there, and then I just get to the just do the same way that they are doing. Hmm. Or I can go from the root and skip the check for the subtree. I want to think about this later. I'm thinking about putting the or skipping the root and then looping over here and then calling this great tree from the update tree and just loop over the direct shells of the root. I think that makes more sense. And the getter first should initialize the bar for search. But I can do it from the root as well. So I can just skip this check here and do it directly if I do it like that. I think that makes more sense. So if I figure out how to solve the collapse there, then that's probably the next thing I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna change the update tree so that I don't include the roots of the thing. I just show the folders on the directory. Or maybe instead of doing that, I should change the way that I display. Yeah, because I probably am gonna remove the filter and the other stuff as well. I'm just gonna leave the folders. But I'm doing all this stuff first to check to see if everything works. Then once I get to the point, I'm gonna probably remove the filter. I'm not gonna remove from the class, just gonna comment it out in case I wanna do it when I go back later. But I think what I'm gonna do is just change the way that I'm displaying. So instead of displaying on the function there that's or the class that shows the current path, the one that is selected on the top, I would show the folder there. That's probably the best thing to do. So show the current folder. And then as a separate thing on the other parts, display the subdirectories. So now it is not, but that's because I removed the root. Still doesn't work. So let me see on the file. Already saving here. So it is something to do. It's probably the path. It's probably because it doesn't find the path. So I think what I have to do is go over the uncollapsed. Yeah, let me try that. I'm gonna put the roots as well. Push salmon down closer. How can I save? Actually, I should do this outside. This would make sense anyway. Oh yeah, I can get the path from here. Now I'm not really sure which way is the best. I think probably using the gut path because it makes sure that it's the same that the other one's gonna get. So now I'm pushing the root path. So it's always gonna have the roots on collapse. And if this is not empty, it loops over. And then I just put the root path as the prefix of this one on this one. And then I send that. So maybe this is gonna fix. Or like it might be better to just change the uncollapse function. This one is saving, but it like the weird thing is that supposed to be the same. So I don't understand what is going on. It's probably because of the path join function. Because maybe something else. I'm not really sure. I know that it's saving there for sure because I can see on the file, but the only thing that makes sense to me is that is a problem with the get path. Like there's a mismatch between the file system paths and the tree paths because it is getting the paths from the cache, but then when it updates the tree, it updates with different paths, and that means that's not gonna set the path show on collapse because it doesn't find on the vector because that's how it sets there on the create tree. So and then like once that happens, then it's just gonna save a new thing again, and that's why it looks like it doesn't have anything on the folder. So basically here, I think that what is happening is that the paths that I'm saving there are different than the ones that it gets here, so it has to do with the get path. But the weird thing is that it should be putting the prefix for all of them. But I think it's only changing the root one when I do like this. And the root's not gonna have a parent, so it's gonna be the name. And then for some reason the other ones is not joining. And I think it might have to do with the way that this works, that I don't understand how it works, because I haven't looked into it. Because like the even before, it's kind of weird that it wasn't putting the prefix of the name. The way that I'm thinking about it is that it's gonna take whatever it is here and then it's gonna join with this one. So it's gonna put the slash and it works because it traverses, it goes from parent to parent. Yeah, so the name of the class is gonna be whatever is the level of the folder, I think. Oh, maybe it's messing up because of that. So it is getting the wrong path for the other ones. But the question is, why doesn't it put the prefix? I think it doesn't put the prefix because of the parents. Hmm. I think it's messing up the other names. So the question is how to make sure that I get I because if I put I guess I can just make if it doesn't have a parent, then I put. That way it stays. Yeah, but I'm not pretty sure this is the best. Because it's still gonna be like a different thing. So I should do like the prefix here. So it should be. Hmm. Oh, so if I put here the name. because it's gonna traverse until it gets to the roots, and then it puts there. I'm gonna try this one. Yeah, so it's putting like the wrong path as well here. So I'm gonna see what happens if I do that way there. So the way that I'm thinking now is that if it doesn't have a parent, then it's just gonna be the name, which means whenever it doesn't have a parent, it is on the roots folder. Then on the other ones, it's just gonna traverse until it gets to the roots. So here the name should be always from the roots plus whatever it got here. Still, it might solve the paths, but I'm still not sure if it's gonna solve the cache. I also have to see the other functionality to see if it didn't break. So I have to test a bunch of things, like add folders and remove. And there's some functionality that I'm not gonna be able to test until I figure out the shortcuts part, which I'm probably gonna do later. So now it looks like it is correct. Let's see if we solve this. Okay, so it didn't solve, so it's something else. So I'm gonna search for I'm gonna go over with the debugger. Oh, it is saving correctly. It's not getting correct. Yeah, so it is saving correct. So it must be, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the update tree function now. I'm gonna remove the uncollapse path and this might be the reason why they put it like that. I think this is just to restore the. I'm definitely gonna remove the root one. This one I'm not really sure. So I think I'm just gonna leave one here. Just remove. But not sure because you're supposed. So maybe I pass another variable there. I'm gonna remove this one, and then the other one I'm gonna have to think more about it because of this search. But this, so I can test to see. I'm basically already doing this. I'm not using the other uncollapsed paths. So it must be something else. It must be this thing here. So now that I changed there, I should just put the path. So I should go back to doing the. It's better now if I. Last thing that I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna stop streaming. I'm gonna think more about the search thing to see if I have to keep the other arguments, but I wanna get rid of the true arguments. I think what I might do is just change the search function. If the search requires to have the uncollapsed paths as an argument, I'm gonna see if I can change the functionality to make it based on something else. Because I think that is better to. I'm probably gonna make it as a member variable on the search instead of passing as an argument. Because like the problem with making based on as an argument is that it's too easy to fuck up when you're calling the function on different parts of the class, especially because of the threads on the other one. So this is the biggest problem, is that because this class has to synchronize with the other one and is not very clear because of the threads when the other class is gonna update things, it becomes very confusing, I think. The question would be whether or not it makes a difference to make this one dependent on member variables instead of the whatever we pass here. But I think you would, because the member variables are more likely to represent the, like it's easier to synchronize the state with the member variables, I think. And you essentially can do the same thing. The downside is that you lose flexibility, and then you have to incorporate the flexibility based on other memory variables if you want to get different uncollapsed paths states. So I guess it comes down to the variance of uncollapsed paths. But I think you're only gonna have probably two, which is the cache and the search. Those are the only two states, I think. So if you have two member variables, one representing the cache and the other representing the. Yeah, the downside is that it increases the memory that the class uses. Because when you call get uncollapse, I think that is garbage collected. But maybe not. Or whether or not makes sense. Should look here first. Hmm. I'm gonna stop streaming now, and I'm gonna spend more time thinking about this. Probably gonna go over with the debugger just see what is going on. I guess I can go very fast here, just to see if I go directly to the. I still think it's not gonna work, but and the only explanation that makes sense to me is something to do with the like the paths that are being cached are not the ones that I'm using there. It probably has to do with this uncollapse thing. The update tree and the arguments. Hmm. Oh, so it's not finding the configuration. That's weird. I think it's going here. Also, I should probably do something else here. But I think it doesn't matter. This one. Because I do wanna, I want the root to be open anyway. No, I'm just pushing the, like, there should, because one, it comes from the collapse and the other. But it should indicate that the uncollapse is just, yeah, it's not loading the configuration. So let me, the section is here, uncollapse mouse. So let me go again. Right, this is the last time that I'm going to stop streaming. Just curious to see why it's not loading. Because it seems that it is the configuration here. So it should find the configuration that exists here. It's calling this, that's the problem. So it's saving for some reason. I think, yeah, it's because I put this. The reason why I put this here is because on the file system doc they saved the configuration after this event here. So this is the problem. When it's loading, the configuration is saving, so it fucks up before it gets there. Let's try again. I think it might be on more than one place, but we'll see. Let's see, function by function. I think here I'm probably calling as well. Okay, now. Okay, so it should be the only one there, I think. Okay, worked. Nice. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop streaming here, and I have to think about what's probably what I'm gonna do next is to see if I can remove both arguments on that the update tree function. And if I need, I think I'm just gonna remove and whatever. And I'm gonna leave the comments there. I'm not gonna remove them because when I test search, I'm going to see if I think the next thing I'm gonna do is just test the search to see. Because the thing is, I'm gonna move this to another spot anyway. So I don't think it matters. Probably the reason why they put the reason why they send as a comment is because send as an argument it should preserve the previous state, but since I'm putting on the variable there, then it's not gonna matter. Because when it calls update tree, it's gonna get the paths from the cache already, so it's just gonna retrieve the. So I'm just gonna remove the arguments from the update tree, and I'm going to test what happens on this here. I guess I can test right now. The one that I don't have is the remove because the remove requires the shortcuts, and I have to figure out the shortcuts. So let's see. Yeah, I also can't move here. Let me see if I can move through here. So it looks like on the editor you can move, but for some reason I can't move there. So obviously there's something wrong, so I have to check how to fix this. This is also bad. So something to do with this scan, I think. Because this happens when you change, and clearly it's putting the wrong path there now. So I created a copy here. It also doesn't display the selection thing here. So in order to see this, I'm gonna have to go over with the debugger and put the breakpoints to see. It might be some function that I didn't move, or it might be something else. So this might be because of the path there. And there is a function called move something here. So it's something related to that function. A move operation. I'm gonna stop streaming here because I've been for a long time. So next time I'm just gonna continue to do this stuff here. So see you then.